So, hello, dear Viola. Hello, dear Maria. We're just giving a couple of minutes for some guests to join us. I've started now the broadcast. So happy to see you both this afternoon,
You.
and
Thank you.
such an exciting occasion, presentation launch of Viola's book, Who Makes the Bed? Such an exciting title. Thank you very much for showing the copy. So be already live. We are already live, and I believe that yes, number of participants is growing. So I think I will be just about to address everyone and to welcome everyone. So dear ladies, dear creative ladies, welcome to our first special online event in January in 2021. I'm Olga Balaklets, the founder of Creative Women, and it is a great pleasure to make this short introduction to you of, first of all, of the person who is very well known to Creative Women platform, who is a dear friend and partner, and who became the executive director of Creative Women platform, Dr. Viola Edwards. And she's going to present to us today her latest book, the launch of her latest book, Who Makes the Bed? Such an exciting and appropriate for female listeners subject. And it is my great pleasure to introduce to you our special guest and the person who is going to interview Viola and ask questions about her special book, who is Maria Kempinska. And it's a really great pleasure, Maria, to welcome you today for the first time to Creative Women platform. You, of course, a very, very special lady. You're a queen of comedy. You've been awarded on many occasions for everything what you do. You're founder of award-winning Jean-Claude's Comedy Club. You're part and presenter of so many TV and radio shows. And it's such a great privilege to have you with us. And of course, for you to interview Viola Edward. Thank you so much. I will be typing in the chat very shortly the link on which our guest could order a copy of Viola's book. And of course, I would like to say we are going to see you very soon. We are planning a very exciting schedule of events online at the moment and soon live as well. We are preparing lots of exciting initiatives, including membership scheme and many more. And we are going to stay in close touch with you, and we appreciate you being with us, Creative Women. So it's my pleasure to now pass you to Maria and to dearest Viola. Please enjoy your conversation.
Lovely. Olga, thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me on your Creative Women's platform. It's a joy to be part of the platform today. And of course, to meet Dr. Viola Edwards. Now, I was sent the book and I was immensely impressed by the title, Viola, because, you know, I don't make my own bed. I have a cleaner to do that. But since reading your book, I've changed my mind. And judging by the sparkle in your eyes, I think making your bed takes on a totally different meaning. As I started reading it, we'll go through what I read and I'll ask various questions. But first of all, would you please give us a little bit of your background? I'm also a psychotherapist. I'm a doctor of psychotherapy, so I was fascinated by your approach. But can you give us your background? And also, you've written other books. Just give us a brief synopsis of your books and also why you chose this particular topic and the fabulous title.
Yes, thank you so much, Maria and Olga. My background, I worked for 21 years in corporate work, since 13 until 34. And the last 10 years of those were in the insurance sector. So I worked from a small shoe store selling shoes to be in hairdressing, to be a telephonist. My career was escalating step by step. My dream of being a psychotherapist was all the time there. Since I know myself, I was fascinated by human behavior. And I think I would observe so much and ask myself, why do they do this way? Why do they feel this way? Anyway, but migration and situation of life and war, etc., had obliged me to interrupt my studies. So I did follow non-formal education and alternative studies through my life until I was 34. And I managed to change my corporate life and dare to follow my dream by then. And by then I had studied already transactional analysis, transpersonal psychotherapy, and met the world of the breath work. So I would say, and meditation, but I would say that breath work was the thing that linked my studies, my search, my autodidacta. Yeah, we said in Spanish is I'm self-made, and the breath work make like, yeah, it was like such a beautiful joint of my vision, my mission, my dream, and my action together. So when I started, I had a center in Venezuela about breathwork center, and I start working. And then because I had this background in corporate, I was hired by a friend of mine who's still in my work now, Neida Guasamukare. And she said, I want you with me as a consultant. And I said, no, 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 I'm not going back to corporate. And she said, this is from the other door. This is from the door of consultancy. And she explained to me that how much we will have access to people that they will never come to therapy by themselves. But if we can take that message to the corporate world, it will be, we will have access to influencers. And that really get me. And then I went and trained with her as a consultant. And already in the 90s, we were talking about emotional intelligence. We were talking about situational leadership. We were pioneering. And then in around late 90s, I would say 98, I really couldn't write because I speak all these languages, but none of them good. So I couldn't have the discipline to sit and write. I was naturally a good speaker, but one of my students had recorded me and sent me the transcript. And I remember seeing those words in the screen and start correcting. And it's something like just open up in me. And I was already able to write a little bit better. Through the years, it was like something that had developed with me. So the first book I wrote, it was this one in the 90s, Breathing the Rhythm of Success. And I chose that because I was fascinated by the breathing. How is it that is our capital is with us all the time, and we just do it so little and we don't benefit from it? So the book, it was about conscious breathing and about two major subjects in our life, which is the thinking, the negative thinking, how it pull us back, especially in me, that I become a victim for all the losses, country, father, languages, family, and how even though I was so passionate, I could not make it because I was pulled back by the sense of loss and grief and victimacy. And the other subject was personal vision and personal purpose and mission. As you remember, in that time, people will talk about diplomacy mission or military mission or religion mission. People didn't have that. So we were pioneering that again. So my first book is about those subjects. Yes.
It's absolutely fascinating. You're also married to a wonderful man called Michael, who changed your rhythm, if you like, in your relationship. He said when he allowed you to speak Spanish when you were having arguments, which is a wonderful piece in your book. But further to that, it's so who makes the bed in your relationship? That was my question.
Yes, in my relationship, I was like not very concerned about making the bed. And Michael will make the bed as the most important action to start the day with. As an engineer that he is, it will be like somebody who's in contemplation with engineering skills, fixing that bed, you know. But my team, my subject was changing the sheet frequently. So he was asking me, why do you need to change the sheet so frequently? And I was explaining that it's wonderful to have clean sheets. I'm coming from the Caribbean. And we laugh about it. And so we decided that I change the sheets and he makes it. And that is symbol of how every relationship is just symbolic of how many strategic agreement we have to do in different area that our different culture and different need meets, and we can have a good smooth sailing in this relationship as much as possible.
You know, when I was reading your book, Viola, what impressed me most is how you combined the theory, because you included Jung and Freud, and you include Rupert Sheldrake, and it's the theory doesn't overpower the essence of what you're saying. So you draw people in. But one of the questions, and you talk about the state of bliss as the first step into a relationship, a romantic relationship, but also it can be in a friendship. But we're talking about romance here and love. And can you tell me how do you deal, and what are the most difficult stages of a relationship that you recognize? Because we all know what it feels like to be in love for the first time with somebody, but then suddenly it becomes difficult. And that's what your book, the essence of your book, is about, is to get us over those hurdles where we fall in love, we know somebody, we meet them, everything is inspiring, we can put up with anything, and then suddenly they do something and you say, oh no, the tea bag shouldn't be there, or put the lid on the toothpaste, or close that drawer, or turn off the lights. Something starts happening.
Yeah, yes. In Arabic, I speak Arabic, and in Arabic we said suddenly the eye becomes so narrow,
Yes.
and you see all this, yeah, from a big heart, and you know, yeah, I'm capable to do this. Yeah, of course. I'll go and live in Burundi or in Panama, doesn't matter. And then suddenly everything, even the toothpaste, yeah. So I would say, yes, it's that stage. Another teacher of mine used to say, relationship is like a couple of months of a state of bliss, couple of months of a state of confusion, 2 years of hesitating, and 30 years of misery. Maybe after that you will go to enlightenment.
I hope not. I hope not. I don't think,
but we don't want that. So
I don't think that's true in your relationship.
No.
I just look at you and I know that's not true.
No. But what I say is that, of course, all of us, we have like an ideal in our being, yeah, an ideal that is combined between what it worked from relationship that we saw, maybe our parent, and what we will never do in our relationship because we hate it from them. And then we go into a relationship and we find ourselves doing exactly the same. So I would say one thing that happened to me, because I entered into this relationship a little bit more mature, because I couldn't stay more than 2 weeks or 3 months in a relationship. I could not settle, and I had to do a lot of work in myself. Is that one is I think it's fabulous to enter into a relationship with your eyes open. Jorge Bucay, a psychotherapist and writer from Argentina, he had beautiful book said, loving with eyes open, with open eyes. Yeah. What does it mean? It's like, because there's so many signals that happen at the beginning. And if you enter with your eyes open, you see them and you can make decision on time, especially setting boundaries. So I would say one of the things that happened to me is that I managed to set boundaries on time, what it didn't match my set of values or principle. Of course, also I married a man who's coming from another culture, even we have a gender, how you say, many years in difference, to 13 years of difference, different backgrounds. So I had so many things we have to learn about each other, but still, I was very clear about what is a no-no for me, and it was a no-no from the beginning. That was something that helped me. And the other thing helped me that I enter and he entered vulnerable and truthful to the relationship. Therefore, I didn't pass him my bills, you know. I had many years of psychotherapy before, and still I was carrying a lot of fear. I lost my first man when I was 3 years old, when my father died suddenly from a heart attack. And it took me years of grief that. So for me, the death of the relationship was coming much before, very quickly, before the person will die in my life. So I had like this pattern of escaping and saying, no, it's not going to work. I'm leaving. And Michael knew how to stay, and I knew how to live. So it took us like, apart from the 4 years that we have this long distance relationship, it took us another 2 years to settle into how to stay, imagine. Also my English was, as you see how it is. And I remember he's telling me, but I can't understand you. When we used to argue, I was like, and he would say, I can't understand you, darling. Just speak in Spanish. I will understand your body language. And then between argument and argument, he learned a little bit Spanish. But there is so many things that are different. Like, for example, when I'm very tired or upset, I want to stay in a corner and be like protective. If for him, he will go for a run. And he
Mm.
will tell me when I'm exhausted or tired or ill, go for a run. It will do you well. And I will feel so offended because going for a walk is such a hard work. So it's like, you know, it was so many things in a day that, but with clarity, I have to tell you that for me, love is not enough. You can, half of the people who go to divorce, they still love each other.
Yeah.
It's not about love only, it's about communication skill, effective communication. Loving relationship and business partnership or many type of partnership, it will break because lack of communication.
Yeah.
So I would say the three major thing in a relationship for me is love, whatever you understand for love, is effective communication that you will learn more and more, and is whatever we will call, according to your relationship, a healthy sexuality. And from there we will have shared values, shared duties, and also who's going to do these things that nobody wants to do in a home, but we have to agree how we're going to share them, entertainment and continuous development. So this is what the book is about, and how to let love in.
Mm.
Because anytime we have many things, but people, maybe like me, if I would not have work in myself, I was so scared to be hurt again. How I'm going to let love in? So it's very important that also the book talk about addiction,
Mm.
and you know, and how healing addiction will revive intimacy, because when we are in addiction we lie, and when we lie we break the trust, and how that affect the intimacy in a relationship. It talk about shared vision, it talk about daring to be sexually healthy, and what does it mean to change the sexual pattern that we bring with us. And you know, chapter after chapter is about that.
And what I loved about your book, which also surprised me when you look at the title, it seems quite lightweight. It didn't seem as if it was profound and deep, but the more you go into the book, you know, you use poetry, you have a list of questions so people can reflect on themselves. So it's a book that you won't put down, or it's a book that you'll pick up over and over again and say, well, maybe I'll ask myself that question that Viola wrote, because she has a understanding here. But you've used wonderful titles as well throughout the book, little snippets, little words that have very deep meaning. And you've talked about our personal law and our personal lie, and things like delicate nakedness, which I thought, these are such profound terms, and how you have to know yourself, not only in relation to yourself, but in relation to somebody else. So how does that affect you in a relationship? How do you find our personal law? How do you know how do you know it when you are lying, your personal lie? And then how does that affect you in business as well?
Yes. Well, a negative thought that is repeated so many times in our life, it will become a law. And we have the tendency to follow the law. So saying, I'm not good enough, I don't know enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not wealthy enough, I'm not healthy enough, all these, I'm not good enough, will create like a deep wound in the self that was created maybe in our childhood or teenage or early youth. And what happened is like, this is a deep, is a lie that become a law, and the person will follow that law. The problem is that in order to survive, people fight with those negative thinking. So in order to survive, they will show the total opposite to what they think about themselves. Yeah. And that is a fight in the self. But what happened, they will fight it also with the other one. You will see how people will accuse you of not being honest with them, or will accuse you of not loving them, or will accuse you of, but this is an inner process that's happening, and it's a fight. So you will understand why people say, I'm comme ci, comme ça, I'm so, because it's a daily uh, journey of, I'm not good enough. Yes, I'm more than good enough. No, I'm not good enough. So the idea of breaking the personal law through this instrument I share with you in the book, is to go to what is your eternal truth, that you're more than good enough, that we cannot compare ourselves with anybody else, only with ourselves and the other people, Olga and you, Maria, and so many other people in my life. It's not to be compared with, it's to be looked at and learn from you, whatever it match me or is good for me in this moment of my life. So this is the idea of how a lie that happened in some moment that I thought I'm not good enough become a law, and how people can create a relationship that remind them how they are not good enough. Look about domestic violence. Look about all these amazing women that can be living for long years in domestic violence. It's because they have this law.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something very, very
And
interesting, because we cannot. Yes,
what
sorry.
about delicate nakedness?
Well, this is about intimacy, isn't it? I'm also coming from a generation that we grow up in the 70s and the 80s. And for me, maybe get naked physically, it was not the big problem, you know, but get naked, the soul and the truth, that was the big problem. So the delicate nakedness is about how healing victimacy, but at the same time showing vulnerability and create friendship with that person that is joining your life, and be able to be emotionally honest. Yeah, I'm scared. I make a mistake. I couldn't hold myself. You know, whatever. That's what I call the delicate nakedness, not only related to the body, but also to the soul and to the mind and to the emotion.
But you've also talked in depth about the body, emotions, the spirit, and the mind. And that's where you were referring to Jung and Freud, Rupert Sheldrake, all these wonderful, theorists of the past. But they did such deep work. But what I've noticed, you were talking about the collective unconscious, how we relate to the collective unconscious, the iceberg theory from Freud, and morphic resonance. So there's wonderful theories there, but you also explain them in such a deep way, but also a deep way, but also a very easy, acceptable, accessible way for women. Can you just give us a bit of a sense of each of those and how you brought them together?
Yes, lately, after I think I used to sleep with Freud and Jung, as I told you before. As I told you before, my education was interrupted at 13, and between 9 and 10, I was totally determined to be psychologist and teacher. And then, it's terrible when in the 70s the education was interrupted at that age. There were no system to get engaged at night on the weekend. So at a very early age, I went into reading and reading, and again and again, I remember my mother saying, "Why do you get this book of this old man all the time?" because many things I could not understand at this early age. So what summarized for me all these beautiful teaching with Freud. I always mention Freud. Doesn't matter if we are not totally in agreement with him today, but he was the father of what many of us, we created so many different ways. Is that I met later in life, I met Dr. Nosrat Peseshkian. Dr. Peseshkian created something called the positive psychotherapy. And the positive psychotherapy has three principles. One principle is, what does positive mean? And positive is coming from positum, from Latin positum, that means what is given, what is there. We have what is there. We are given the capability to be able to deal with our issues. We are skilled. Second principle is this principle of balance. Is that, we have a body, we have an emotion and relation and communication, we have a reason, and we have a spiritual path, we have a sense of meaning in our life. And we just have 24 hours a day, like we're gonna translate to unities. Let's imagine 100 unities. And for all of us is the same. So depend how you distribute your unities. It's from there that you're gonna get the bliss, and it's from there where you're gonna get the condition or the illness. And there is where your tendency gonna come from. So he said the principle of balance, and immediately he said, life will take you out of balance, learn and go back to balance, and life will take you out of balance again. And the third principle is the principle of consultancy. Means when life takes us out of balance, we are positum, we have many things to be able to deal with it. But if we couldn't, if that imbalance is bigger than us, we go to the principle of consultancy. I will go to Maria as a psychotherapist to support me, to help me to go through that. And hopefully she is also humanistically holistic, that I will learn from her to be able to deal with my situation later. So all my book is about helping you to go into this positum in yourself, into learning profound concept in a simple way. This is the thing I do in my teaching.
You do very well. And actually, I'm so sorry to say that we have to finish. We've almost been talking for over 25 minutes, Dr. Viola, and you are fascinating. I love your energy. I love the sparkle in your eyes. We can't wait to meet Michael. Can I just ask you one final question? What would you, for the women on the Creative Women's platform, you talk about female capital. What is the message that women can take away from your book, from yourself, for their future work, not only in that with their partners, but also in business?
Yes. So we have inner value. We have qualities, like Maria is talking about the sparkling of my eyes. You know, as I age, the eyes become smaller. But if I show you photos around my life, that sparkling is there. So I think this is one of my qualities. Yeah. Communication, connection. So what helped me toward my life, my currency in all the changes I have had in my life, this was my currency, my quality. So this is your capital. There is an exercise also. You need to connect what are your quality. You need to honor them. You need to cherish them, and they will bring you other qualities. And this is the base of your vision and is the base of your purpose. So your capital is already in you. And what you're going to acquire from the outside is going to be an adding value to your capital. And this is one of the major things of what I teach, Maria. Yes.
It has been such a wonderful half an hour talking to you, Dr. Viola. And don't forget, everybody, to buy a copy of Who Makes the Bed. I know Olga has put that in the chat section. If you go to the Creative Women's platform, you'll find not only more information about Dr. Viola Edwards, and at the back of her book, you can contact her directly. But I know that Olga will put you in touch with Viola as and when you want to connect. I know the Creative Women's platform is a very exciting platform for everybody. And they're going to do amazing and wonderful things, women connecting, but women teaching, women mentoring, and women learning from it and supporting each other, which I think is such an important part of our world. And I'm Dr. Maria Kempinska, and I want to say thank you so much for spending your time with us today.
Thank you so much.
And Maria, thank you so much, Viola. It was a pleasure. And we are going to welcome Maria back very, very soon.
Yes, great moderator. And I want to tell you, get in connection with your creative being and follow us in Creative Women. There is much more for us here.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Olga.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.